Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's reading from Brilliant as the Sun, a retelling of Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 4. We are going to read from chapter 6, Brahma pacifies Shiva. The gods go to Kailash to appease the angry Shiva. Verses 1 and 2. Hysterical women cowered in groups, wailing inconsolably. Disheveled gods and Brahmins picked themselves up and stumbled about aimlessly. The arena was in shambles. Daksha was dead and several others severely injured. Those celestials who had only suffered superficial wounds huddled together to discuss what they should do. What if Shiva's men returned? They must somehow or other appease him. Indra suggested they seek Brahma's help. The bedraggled crew hurried to Satyalok, prostrating themselves before Brahma, where they reported all that had happened. Verse 3. Brahma showed no surprise. Both Lord Vishnu and I anticipated this would occur. That is why neither of us attended the sacrifice. Verses 4 and 5. He shook his head reprovingly. My dear sons, you cannot be happy in executing a sacrifice if you blaspheme a great personality. Shiva was right to have Daksha killed. If he had lived, he would have further degraded himself by his offenses. Indeed, you are all offenders, since you have colluded in excluding Shiva from receiving his share of the sacrificial results. The gods hung their heads. They had made a terrible mistake. After offending Shiva, how could they expect any good fortune? Brahma said, you must go to him without reservation, fall at his feet and beg his pardon. He is easily pleased, and when he sees your genuine contrition, he will surely forgive you. The celestials cast fearful glances at each other. How could they approach Shiva? What if he burned them to ashes? Verse 6. Noting their hesitation, Brahma said, certainly Shiva is so powerful that his anger can immediately destroy all the planets with their chief controllers. But bear in mind that in this instance, he was especially disturbed. Not only was he still stinging from Daksha's unkind words, but he had also just lost his dear wife. Under the circumstances, I think you should all go at once and beg his forgiveness. Bhrigu and Pusha frowned. Why should senior Brahmins like themselves have to apologize? Could Brahma not chastise Shiva for the harm he had inflicted on them? Verse 7. Brahma read their minds. Not I, nor Indra, nor any of you sages, nor indeed all of us combined can match Shiva's influence. None of us can even imagine the extent of his power. No one should risk offending him. Indra wrung his hands. What if he refuses to accept our apology? Verses 8 to 10. Brahma said, do not fear, I will go with you to Kailash. I am sure Shiva will show respect to me. The party left at once. As they approached Kailash, they saw that it was abounding in herbs and vegetables. Auspicious Vedic mantras reverberated everywhere. Mystic yogis were dotted here and there in their hermitages. Celestial residents of Kailash floated through the airways in various kinds of aircrafts. Gandharvas played beautiful music and their Apsara wives danced happily, while Kinnars wandered here and there. The ground was decorated with colorful minerals like black opals, pineite, rhodium, gold, jadeite, diamonds, lithium, platinum, rubies, and blue garnets. Verses 11 to 21. Groves of valuable trees and plants beautified the landscape. On the top of Kailash, they saw various species of deer. There were many waterfalls and magnificent mountain caves in which the beautiful wives of the mystics lived. From all around, they could hear the rhythmical sound of peacocks sweetly mewing, bees humming, and countless varieties of exotic birds singing. Herds of elephants lumbered leisurely over the verdant terrain, their heavy footsteps shaking the ground. The sound of crashing waterfalls filled the air, and all around they saw swaying trees such as cinnamon, asafoetida, jackfruit, blackberry, mango, and countless others, filled with fragrant blossoms. The forest appeared like a vast landscape garden. The lakes were covered with red, blue, and white lotuses and were home to wobbling birds, musk deers, monkeys, lions, tigers, boars, forest cows, and asses. All lived peacefully side by side. Verse 22, Brahma's party marveled at Kailash's beauty. As they flew over the hill, they were especially struck with the radiant beauty of one small lake. Indra turned to Lord Brahma, O Lord, I am astonished at Shiva's opulence. There is abundance everywhere. This lake especially attracts me. Please tell me its name and to what it owes its great charm. Brahma replied, it is filled with Ganges water which flows through this region. Here Sati would take bath, and it is therefore especially auspicious. Verse 23, a cool aromatic breeze wafted by. Brahma pointed to the blossoming trees and the lotuses. Because of their fragrance, this region is called Saugandhika. Saugandhika. Sugandh means beautiful fragrance, of course. Verses 24 to 26, as they passed over two rivers, Brahma said, these rivers are called Nanda and Alaknanda. They are both sanctified by the dust of the lotus feet of Govinda, the Supreme Lord. These rivers are the favorite rendezvous of Apsaras and other celestial beauties, and when they desire to enjoy conjugal delights with their husbands, see how the waters of these rivers are yellowish from the fragrant kumkum washed from the celestials' bodies. Attracted by this sweet aroma, elephants come here to drink. Verses 27 to 29, just then they saw fleets of airplanes bedecked with pearls, gold, and many valuable jewels. All board were parties of heavenly denizens. On board were parties of heavenly denizens. The gods and sages gaped at their beauty. As they passed into the distance, they looked like clouds in the sky, decorated with occasional flashes of lightning. While still passing over the Saugandhika forest, full of flowers, fruits, and desired trees, they saw Kuber's abode, which was home to many red-necked birds whose sweet songs mingled with the humming of bees and the crying of swans. Verses 30 to 33, continuing their flight, they saw herds of elephants in the sandalwood forests. They spotted areas allocated for bathing. Stairs made of priceless Vadurya gems led into the lotus-filled waters. They saw celestial beauties coyly soliciting the amorous embraces of their husbands. Brahma's party at last came to a great banyan tree. It was 800 miles high, with branches spread over 600-mile radius. Under its cool shade, the celestials noted the complete silence. There was not even a bird song. Verses 34 to 35, the sages in the party sighed appreciatively. This tree was magnificent. It could shelter innumerable mystics aspiring for liberation. As they admired the tree, they spied Shiva seated at its base, his expression grave and peaceful. He was surrounded by many saintly persons, including Kuber, the four Kumars, and Narad. Tremors of anxiety went through the gods and sages accompanying Brahma. How could Shiva react on seeing them? Brahma reassured them, Lord Shiva is perfect in devotional service. He has fully controlled his senses, has complete knowledge, and always acts in perfect accord with righteousness. He is famous as Shiva, all auspicious, because he has affection for everyone and is the friend of the entire world. Verses 36 to 39, as the planes descended, they folded their palms to Shiva, who was dressed in saffron garments, seated on the deerskin spread over straw. His body was smeared with ashes, and crescent moon symbol was set in his hair. He sat in the Virasan with his left leg placed on his right thigh and his left hand resting on his left thigh. In this right hand he held Rudraksh beads, and his four fingers were raised. Being the foremost in that assembly, he was absorbed in describing the absolute truth to the numerous sages present, including Narad. Verse 40, Brahma stepped off his swan carrier and bowed his forehead. So Mahadev, you are the most venerable, worshipped by both gods and the demons. Shiva immediately rose. He was also bowed and touched Brahma's feet in respect. All the sages who had been listening to the Shiva offered obeisance to Brahma. After accepting their worship, Brahma addressed Shiva. Verses 42 to 44, My dear Shiva, although you offer me respect, in truth you are more powerful than me, for you are the one with Vishnu. I know that you are the source of the universe and even the impersonal Brahman beyond. In your forms of Shiva and Shakti, you create, maintain, and annihilate the universe just like a spider creates, maintains, and destroys its web. By your will, Daksha introduced the process of sacrifice to attain material prosperity. It is because you created the system of Varna and Ashram that it is followed strictly by the Brahmins. Brahma hesitated. He needed to broach a difficult subject. Now that Daksha was dead, who could initiate sacrifice, without which there would be misfortune throughout the world? Verse 45, taking a deep breath, he said, O most auspicious Lord, by your order the pious attain either the heavens, impersonal liberation, or the spiritual planets, according to their desires. Similarly, by your order, the sinful go to different hells to suffer ghastly punishments. Yet sometimes we see that you break your own rules and send the pious to hell, while the sinful are liberated. I am therefore confused. Shiva's features remained impassive as he gazed at Brahma with his three eyes. He understood his father's allusion. Daksha was pious, and yet he went to hell, whereas the sinful Ajamil had received liberation. Verse 46, Brahma continued, I am convinced that you, not only out of mercy, not anger, even your sincere devotees who see your presence in everyone's heart as the supersoul, are not impelled by anger. Only animalistic people who differentiate between one living being and the other succumb to rage. Shiva replied, Father, if I did not become angry and punish the sinful, then everyone would commit sins with impunity. Verse 47, Brahma said, Rest assured that those who make distinctions between living beings who are attached to enjoying the results of their work, who only think of their own benefit, who become upset to see others flourish, and who speak harshly, will certainly be killed as a result of such misbehavior. You need not kill such sinners out of anger. If you become angry with them, they will have no chance of redemption. Verses 48 to 49, My Lord, when materialists commit offenses, the saintly forgive them, knowing that the deluded materialist is suffering in Maya's clutches. Saintly people always show them mercy rather than punish them. Since your intelligence is never bewildered by the illusory energy, it befits you to show mercy to deluded persons who are attracted to karmic work. Shiva smiled, What would you like me to do, Father? Verse 50, the gods visibly relaxed as Brahma continued, My dear Shiva, please complete Daksha's sacrifice. You destroyed because the foolish priests did not give you your share. Kindly now accept your offerings. Shiva nodded, As you wish, Father. Is there anything else? Verses 51 to 3 now. Is it 3 or it just says 51 to 3. My Lord, please restore Daksha's life, Bhaga's eyes, Bhrigu his mustache, Pusha his teeth. Please also heal the injuries of the many gods and priests whose limbs were broken by your soldiers. Although you destroyed the sacrifice, please now take your portion of the remnants offered to Vishnu and allow it to be completed. So this brings us to the end of chapter 6. Brahma pacifies Shiva, and next will be chapter 7, Daksha's sacrifice. So thank you for joining. I wish you all a very blissful week ahead. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.